You guys are good to go.
All right, Miles. Hey, first of
Hey.
all, I just want to say, man, from us to you, thanks so much for taking time out. And I know this is a crazy time for all of us, but being here in Las Vegas, man, we obviously are experiencing some of the same things that you are. But how's everything going with you and your family?
Everything's going great, man. You can hear me all right?
I can.
Good. Okay. Just making sure everything's good on my end. But we're good. We're just trying to handle this quarantine like anyone else, being super careful and making sure we don't tear each other's hair out. But no, all is well. Thanks, man. I'm happy to be here talking with you, man.
Well, you've got a great family, so I'm sure y'all are not doing that. Y'all are probably having some pretty exciting card games or something because you guys are very competitive, I know. So you get DK in the room, and then it's all.
You already know we're playing all the games.
That's right. So, hey, a couple of things. I had a couple of questions I wanted to ask you, kind of thing. Just some stuff, just to sort of talk to the people here in Las Vegas. So, what are some things that you're doing I mean, obviously you're at a different level than most of us are, but what are you doing to stay active while we're in this crazy time?
Sure. Well, for me, we start our off season virtually here coming up soon for the Lions. And they're going to send us, equipment, and, I'm in a small minority where I'm going to have access to, gym equipment. But up until that point, I've been living with, just like anyone else, with limited access. I go to a gym right down the street and it's closed. So, what do we do, right? That's the question we ask. And one thing I've learned so far, because I'm no expert at it, but one thing I've learned is it starts mentally. I have to wake up and decide, okay, either I'm going to look for any opportunity to do something physical today, or I'm going to, tell myself, well, the gym is still closed. I guess I can't do anything, right? And so it starts with me, for me, mentally. I have to flip that switch and say, okay, today is going to be a day that I'm going to find something to do, right? And then once that happens, the world is your oyster. We live in Vegas. There's hills everywhere. You can go to a hill, maybe even if it's just an inclined street, and jog or walk or do sprints to the mailbox. Like, all of a sudden you flip the switch and you're like, okay, I can literally do more than what meets the eye. For me, a lot of the stuff I do in the off season as a professional athlete is mostly body weight anyway. And so, I mean, you have access to YouTube. YouTube's not on quarantine, and there's vast majority of people who have workouts already, listed, and, videos that you can follow along with, just utilizing body weight, stuff you have around the house. And so there's definitely different ways, but I would say the biggest piece of advice I would say is telling yourself mentally, I'm going to look for things. I'm going to search outside of the box, maybe something I'm not comfortable with, going on and looking up something to do at my house, instead of, okay, the gyms are still closed, so I'm just going to watch Netflix today.
Hey, you're talking about mentally, something, that I've always really been really, I've known you for a long time. I've known you even from when you were smaller, kind of thing, back in high school. There's one thing that I remember, maybe the first or second time that I ever met you. I just realized that you are a very driven and focused young man, and your mindset was different. So tell me two things. Tell me, one thing is, how did you develop that mindset that you have? And as you have progressed through your career, how do you continue to develop your mindset?
Sure. Well, first of all, I appreciate you saying that. That's very, very kind words. It's that's not, we live in a world today where people aren't very quick to say that to each other. So I appreciate that. But I will say this, I'm very conscious to make sure that I'm not taking too many days off. Um, my dad, he always tells me that I'm very bad at resting. You know, I'm very bad at just taking the allotted time to rest, and so that's something I've had to work on. But I will say this: what was it? Newton's third law. I forget. I skipped that part in science. But an object in motion will stay in motion. An object at rest will stay at rest. Like that's real in more aspects than people realize. And honestly, the first couple steps of doing something are so hard. It's so cliche. It's so cliche, but I'll take this off season, for example. I was content with just a couple months ago not doing anything. Like I was like, you know what? I'm gonna rest like my dad says, and I'm just gonna just not do anything. And it took a good buddy of mine, Obed, he's here in the Valley, and his work ethic, he was at a moment in his life where he just wanted to go. And so I said, you know what, I'll go with you. And because of that, that actually jump started me getting right back into, okay, you know what, I should be doing this. And so if you don't already have it, if you're someone who's already not intrinsically motivated, I think that just being around someone or talking to someone who wants to get to the same place you're trying to get is so important. It's so critical, because a lot of people, you know, they'll tell themselves like, you know, I'm just not driven like that. But in reality, all it takes is just getting started. And then I think a lot of us can surprise ourselves. And you're like, wow, you know what? I am driven. I just needed someone to give me that spark. And so that friendship, that relationship aspect of it is crucial.
Yeah. So let me, you mentioned, obviously, you've been in the NFL and you travel a lot, and you're here for a period of time, and then you obviously, you go to work, and when you're at work, you're traveling a lot. How do you maintain your relationships when you just pure travel that you do?
So which relationships are you talking about?
Basically relationships here. I mean, everybody, every time I'm around you, you have so many relationships at church and here and your family and all that stuff. So, but when you go to the Lions, how do you maintain all that? Or is it just, you have your in season and out of season, or how does that work for you?
Well, I learned a lesson in college. I had a close circle of friends in college, and we pretty much stayed close. There was about 6 of us, and we stayed close for all of college. And then when college ended and we went our separate ways, I noticed that the friends that I specifically went out of my way to set up a routine to stay in contact with, I was a lot closer with them a couple years later than the ones that maybe I was closer to in college that I didn't have that routine with. And so for me personally, you get out of relationships what you put in, and relationships are always intentional, right? You have to be intentional with a relationship. Otherwise, unless it's like a sibling, like it's just not going to be there. And even with siblings, you got to be intentional with your decisions. And so I'm not great at it, but I like to intentionally set up like routines as far as when I'm reaching out to you, and, that way you feel comfortable reaching out to me. And that's kind of how I've, in a nutshell, just tried to maintain relationships, especially ones that are really close to me. It's just a routine checkup, and it doesn't even have to be much,
Yeah,
how that is.
I agree.
But more than once every Christmas, or
That's right. That's right.
birthday.
By the way, you said it, talking about your siblings. I love to see how you and Kalani just interact together. You guys are fun. Yeah, she's pretty cool. She's pretty cool. So real quick, I know you're busy, and I'll let you go. First of all, I appreciate you doing this. So tell me, when you think about Las Vegas, obviously we're in this crazy time where we're not doing the normal things that we would normally do, and getting to always go. Here in Las Vegas, people are always asking me like, what is there not to do in Las Vegas? Well, really, there's not a lot not to do in Las Vegas. Although right now, with everything being closed, it's really dialed back a lot. So what's the one thing that you're going, man, I'm really missing this?
Probably the movies.
The movies.
I'm basic, but I miss going to a movie theater, and there's just something about it. There's something about just that basic, what do they call it? Just that generic date night, right? Sometimes before I had a girlfriend and all that, I would do it by myself. But just go to a nice dinner or something and go to the movies, man. Oh, you can't beat that. I miss that. I'm tired of this takeout. I'm tired of this, going to the store and having to wait in a single file line to get in, and then cooking at the house. I love cooking, but still, man, like I just want to go sit down at a restaurant and then go to the movies. I can't wait.
Yeah, well, awesome. Hey, Miles, again, I appreciate you doing this for us. Hey, let me say that I am going to say one thing to you, because in this way I really feel, this is an honor for me, and the reason is that I'm getting to talk to one of my two favorite NFL players.
Oh, see.
And you know who my other one is. My other one's Peyton Manning. It's got to be. Sorry, I love you, man, but Peyton Manning was my other one. So getting the opportunity to do that is a real honor for me. And man, you know what? I tell you, you're the first NFL player that I've known, but I'm going to tell you, for me, you have raised the level of what I expect out of NFL players. And then I appreciate how you conduct yourself. I appreciate how you represent our city. And man, I'm looking forward to seeing you back out on the field this year. I'm sure everybody is. I mean, we want to see sports. So let's get this thing over, get it behind us, and let's move forward.
Let's do it. I'm excited, man. Thanks again for having me. This is a great guy, great, and I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Miles, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.